Picture this. A worn wheelchair ramp, its wood splintered and sagging, creaks under the weight of Jack Wilson as he maneuvers himself onto the porch of his modest ranch-style home. The afternoon sun catches on his military service pins, meticulously attached to his navy blue veteran's cap. Across the yard stands Marcus Reed, arms crossed over a polo shirt emblazoned with Reed's Renovations, his lips curled into what could generously be called a smile. "I'm sorry, Mr. Wilson, but that's not what we agreed to," Marcus says, his voice carrying across the front yard for all the neighbors to hear. "The contract clearly states payment is due regardless of your dissatisfaction." Jack's weathered hands grip his wheelchair armrests, knuckles whitening. "The bathroom isn't accessible. I can't even get through the doorway. That was the whole point." "I completed the work as specified," Marcus interrupts, waving a paper with fine print too, small for Jack to read from his position. "Your check is 3 days late. I'll be adding late fees starting today." A neighbor walking her dog slows her pace, pretending not to listen while clearly absorbing every word. Jack's face burns with a mixture of anger and embarrassment. He's fought in war zones, faced enemy fire, but somehow this betrayal on his own front lawn cuts deeper. "This isn't over," Jack says quietly, his voice carrying the weight of a promise rather than a threat. Marcus laughs, a short bark devoid of humor. "For your sake, I hope it is. I've got connections all over this town. Good luck finding anyone else to help you." He turns toward his gleaming truck, its perfect paint job a stark contrast to the half-finished renovation disaster he's leaving behind. Little did he know that in this small community of Millfield, Jack Wilson wasn't just another disabled veteran to be taken advantage of. The wheels of justice were about to turn in a way Marcus Reed never could have anticipated. Let me take you back to where it all began. 3 months earlier, Jack Wilson was enjoying his morning coffee on the back deck of his single-story home. The spring air carried the scent of his prized roses, which he meticulously tended despite the challenges of gardening from a wheelchair. 22 years in the army and 2 tours in Afghanistan had given Jack discipline that permeated every aspect of his life, from the precisely trimmed hedges to the immaculate interior of his modest home. The home itself was Jack's greatest achievement since medical retirement. Purchased with his savings and VA benefits, it represented independence he'd fought hard to maintain after losing both legs to an IED 8 years ago. The house was his sanctuary, though not without its challenges. The bathroom was particularly problematic, too narrow for his wheelchair, forcing daily workarounds that were becoming increasingly difficult as he aged. "Morning, Jack," calls his neighbor Elena Rodriguez, a nurse at the local VA hospital, as she pauses her morning jog. "Beautiful day, isn't it?" "Can't complain," Jack replies with the easy smile that makes him a favorite in the neighborhood. "How's that husband of yours doing with the new baby?" "Sleep-deprived but happy," Elena laughs. "Hey, I meant to tell you, my brother-in-law used a contractor for some accessibility upgrades last year. Said he did good work for a fair price. Want me to get his information?" Jack nods appreciatively. "That would be great. Been thinking it's time to make this place work better for me, especially that bathroom. I'll text you his info. His name's Marcus Reed. Seems to specialize in renovations for veterans. Even offers a military discount." As Elena continues her jog, Jack breathes in the sense of possibility. The VA had recently approved a home modification grant, and the thought of a properly accessible bathroom brings a wave of anticipation. No more struggling to transfer from his wheelchair, no more makeshift solutions. Later that week, as Jack prunes his rose bushes, a shiny black pickup truck pulls into his driveway. From his vantage point near the side yard, Jack notices the man exit his vehicle and pause, surveying the property with calculating eyes. The man's gaze lingers on the wheelchair ramp, the specialized gardening tools leaning against the porch, the VA healthcare sticker on Jack's car window. Something in that assessing look raises a flag in Jack's mind, but he dismisses it as professional evaluation. The man turns, catching sight of Jack, and instantly his expression transforms into a broad smile. "Mr. Wilson, Marcus Reed, Reed's Renovations. I hear you're looking to make some improvements." Jack wheels himself forward, extending a hand. "Call me Jack. Appreciate you coming by." Marcus's handshake is firm, his appearance polished, pressed khakis, company polo, tablet in hand. "I specialize in helping our veterans," he says, his voice taking on a reverent tone. "My father served in Vietnam. I consider it an honor to help those who served our country." The sentiment resonates with Jack, who's heard similar words from VA doctors, physical therapists, and the various supports that have helped him rebuild his life post-injury. "I understand you're looking to renovate your bathroom," Marcus continues, already walking toward the house. "Why don't you show me what we're working with, and I can give you some ideas." For the next hour, Marcus impresses Jack with his knowledge of ADA requirements, showing pictures of previous renovations he's completed for disabled clients. He throws around terms like zero-threshold shower and comfort height fixtures, with easy familiarity. The best part, Marcus explains as they sit at Jack's kitchen table, is that I can work directly with the VA to handle the grant paperwork. You won't need to deal with any of it. Relief washes over Jack. The bureaucratic maze of VA benefits is one battle he's always dreaded. How soon could you start? Jack asks. I could have materials ordered by next week, Marcus responds, swiping through his tablet. With your grant, we're looking at a package price of $12,000, but you'd only need to cover $2,000 up front for materials. The VA handles the rest after completion. The price seems reasonable for the extensive work needed. Jack nods, feeling the first stirrings of excitement. Let's do it. As Marcus prepares the paperwork, his phone rings. He glances at it, then to Jack. Excuse me, need to take this. Another veteran client. He steps outside, but through the window, Jack catches a glimpse of Marcus's expression changing, the warm smile vanishing the moment his back is turned, replaced by something harder as he speaks animatedly into the phone. The first sign of trouble comes 3 days after Marcus and his crew begin work. Jack returns from a VA appointment to find his kitchen sink disconnected, despite the renovation being confined to the bathroom. Had to shut off the water main, explains Darren, one of the workers, barely looking up from his phone. Should be back on tomorrow. The contract didn't mention anything about the kitchen being affected, Jack says, wheeling to where the paperwork sits in a folder. Darren shrugs. Talk to Marcus. I just do what I'm told. When Marcus arrives the following morning, his explanation flows easily. Sometimes we discover additional issues once we open up the walls. Your plumbing is outdated. We're actually doing you a favor by addressing it now. Will it add to the cost? Jack asks. Not significantly, Marcus assures him, but something in his tone doesn't quite ring true. By the end of the first week, Jack's bathroom is completely gutted, unusable, forcing him to rely on a neighbor's shower. The kitchen sink remains disconnected, and dust covers every surface of his once immaculate home. When Jack calls Marcus about the delays, the contractor's voice takes on an edge. Renovations are disruptive, Mr. Wilson. If you wanted convenience, you should have checked into a hotel. The contract said the bathroom would be unusable for 3 days, maximum. That was an estimate. We've encountered complications. These things happen. The pattern continues into week 2. Workers arrive late, leave early, or don't show at all. Materials delivered don't match what was specified in the contract. The simple request for grab bars on both sides of the toilet somehow morphs into a single bar that's mounted too high to be useful. When Jack points out these discrepancies, Marcus's responses grow increasingly dismissive. Those premium grab bars were on backorder. This one is just as good. The tile you chose is discontinued. This is a more expensive upgrade I'm giving you at no additional cost. The shower controls need to be on that wall due to the plumbing configuration. I can't change physics, Mr. Wilson. Each explanation sounds plausible in isolation, but together, they form a pattern that gnaws at Jack. His military training taught him to recognize when something doesn't add up, when terrain doesn't match the map. The situation comes to a head when Jack wheels himself to the local hardware store to price some of the fixtures Marcus has installed. Looking for something specific? Asks the store manager, Mike Donnelly, a former Marine himself who recognizes Jack from veterans events. Just curious about some bathroom fixtures, Jack replies, showing him a picture of the grab bar installed in his bathroom. Mike frowns. That's our economy line, about $30. Not what I'd recommend for someone who's actually going to put weight on it. Jack's stomach tightens. What about this shower valve? He shows another photo. That's strange, Mike says, examining the picture. That's a standard residential valve. For an accessible shower, you'd want a thermostatic mixing valve to prevent scalding. More expensive, but essential for safety. By the time Jack leaves the store, a cold certainty has settled in his chest. He's being scammed, charged for premium materials while receiving the cheapest alternatives, with safety compromises that could actually harm him. That evening, Jack calls Elena, who comes over with her husband Ray, a contractor from the neighboring town. This is all wrong, Ray confirms after examining the bathroom. The slope on that shower floor won't drain properly. The blocking for the grab bars isn't adequate, and that doorway is still too narrow for your wheelchair. Elena's expression hardens. We should report him to the contractors board and the VA, adds Ray. If he's doing this to other veterans, Jack files formal complaints the next day, but quickly discovers the bureaucratic wheels turn slowly. The local contractors board can't schedule an inspection for 3 weeks. The VA representative explains that payment disputes require extensive documentation and review. Meanwhile, Marcus becomes increasingly difficult to reach. When he does appear, his friendly facade has vanished entirely. "You're making this harder than it needs to be," he tells Jack after a particularly heated exchange about the inadequate shower slope. "I've got other clients waiting. If you want to nitpick every detail, this project will never finish." "It's not nitpicking to expect proper drainage in a shower," Jack counters. Marcus's expression darkens. "Look, I've worked with plenty of veterans. Most are grateful for the help. If you're not satisfied, we can terminate the contract, but you'll still owe for work completed, plus a cancellation fee. That wasn't in the contract." Page 4, paragraph 3, Marcus smirks. "Maybe you should have read the fine print more carefully." That night, sitting in his partially demolished home, Jack feels a familiar sensation from his military days. The calm clarity that comes with recognizing you're under attack and need to develop a counter-strategy. The next morning, Jack begins methodically documenting everything. He takes photographs of all installed materials and fixtures, comparing them with what was specified in the contract. He records conversations with Marcus on his phone. He convinces Ray to provide a written assessment of the substandard work. Jack also reaches out to other veterans in his support group. "Has anyone else used Reed's renovations?" he asks during their weekly meeting. The question triggers an avalanche of responses. 3 other veterans share similar experiences. Initial charm followed by shoddy work, substituted materials, and aggressive pushback when questioned. "He threatened to put a lien on my house when I refused final payment," says Frank, an Army veteran with PTSD. "I ended up paying just to make him go away. He told me I was confused because of my TBI when I questioned the work," adds Maria, a former Air Force medic. "Made me doubt myself." As the stories accumulate, Jack's personal frustration transforms into something more purposeful. This isn't just about his bathroom anymore, it's about protecting his community. Armed with documentation and witness statements, Jack approaches Carol Matthews, an advocate at the Veterans Service Office with a reputation for tenacity. "This is definitely a pattern," Carol confirms after reviewing his evidence, "and unfortunately, not an uncommon one. Some contractors specifically target veterans because of the guaranteed government funding." "So what can we do?" Jack asks. "I've filed complaints, but nothing's happening fast enough. He's still out there taking advantage of others." Carol's expression is grim but determined. "The legal route takes time, but there are other ways to address this. Public pressure can be effective. Do you know anyone in local media?" As it happens, Jack does. His former platoon sergeant's daughter, Aisha, works as a reporter for the local news station. When Aisha arrives at Jack's home with a cameraman in tow, Marcus is in the midst of another argument about the incomplete work. "Mr. Reed," Aisha calls, approaching with microphone extended. "I'm Aisha Johnson with Channel 8 News. We're doing a story on contractors who target veterans with home improvement scams. Would you care to comment on the work you've done here?" The blood drains from Marcus's face as the camera turns toward him. "This is private property. You can't film here." "Actually," Jack interjects calmly, "it's my property, and I've invited them." Marcus's expression contorts with rage. "You're making a big mistake," he hisses at Jack before storming to his truck and speeding away. The confrontation marks a turning point. Jack's story airs that evening as part of a special investigation. Heroes at Home, Veterans Targeted by Contractor Scams. The segment includes interviews with other veterans Marcus has scammed, statements from legitimate contractors about the substandard work, and expert commentary on how to identify and avoid such predatory practices. By morning, the story has been shared across social media platforms. Jack's phone buzzes constantly with messages of support and similar accounts from veterans across the state. Marcus attempts damage control, posting a statement claiming he's being defamed by a single dissatisfied customer with unreasonable expectations. But the evidence mounted against him is too substantial to dismiss. 3 days after the news segment, Jack receives an unexpected visit from Marcus. Gone is the slick confidence, replaced by barely contained desperation. "You need to retract those allegations," Marcus demands, standing at the edge of Jack's porch. "You're destroying my business." "They're not allegations if they're true," Jack responds evenly. "I have documentation for everything I've said." "I'm willing to finish your bathroom. No additional charge," Marcus offers, his tone shifting to conciliation. "We can put this misunderstanding behind us." Jack shakes his head. "It's not about my bathroom anymore. It's about making sure you don't do this to anyone else." Marcus's facade cracks entirely. "You don't understand. I've got loans, payments due. If I lose my contractor's license, you should have thought of that before you started cutting corners on safety features." "For disabled veterans," Jack interrupts, his voice quiet but steely. "I think we're done here." As Marcus retreats to his truck, Jack notices several of his neighbors watching from their yards, bearing witness to the confrontation. There's something powerful in that moment, the community silently declaring its allegiance. What Jack doesn't anticipate is how quickly that community will mobilize. That evening, Mike from the hardware store calls. "Jack, I've been talking with some of the guys. We want to help fix your bathroom, do it right, no charge. I appreciate the offer, but it's not charity," Mike interrupts. "It's about doing what's right. Reed's been pulling this same stunt at my store, buying economy materials but billing clients for premium. I should have caught on sooner." Similar calls follow. Ray offers to oversee the project. Elena's brother-in-law, a plumber, volunteers to fix the shower. Even Frank from the veterans group, a former electrician, offers his services. "Are you serious about this?" Jack asks during a gathering at his kitchen table where a dozen community members have assembled to discuss the renovation. "Dead serious," says Ray. "We've got all the skills we need right here. Licensed professionals, proper materials, everything, by code. But the cost? The hardware store is donating materials," Mike explains. "Other suppliers too, once they heard the story. And everyone here is volunteering labor. We can knock it out in a weekend," adds Frank. "Military precision, in and out." Jack is momentarily speechless, overwhelmed by the unexpected turn of events. His eyes burn with unshed tears. "I don't know what to say." "Say yes," Elena smiles, "and maybe order some pizzas for Saturday." The plan comes together with the efficiency of a military operation. Ray creates detailed drawings and a materials list. Volunteers are organized into teams with specific responsibilities. The necessary permits are expedited by a sympathetic building inspector who's also a veteran. On Friday evening, Jack checks into a hotel room donated by a local business owner. "We need you out of the way so we can work," Ray explains. "No peeking, until it's done." Throughout Saturday, Jack receives periodic text updates and photos showing the transformation in progress. The old, inadequate work is torn out. New, properly installed fixtures appear. The narrow doorway is widened. Proper grab bars are anchored securely. By Sunday afternoon, Ray texts, "Mission accomplished. Coming to get you." When Jack arrives home, he finds his entire street lined with cars and his front yard filled with neighbors, veterans, and volunteers. A hand-painted banner stretches across the porch. "Welcome home, Sergeant Wilson." The crowd parts as Jack wheels up the ramp to his front door. Inside, the transformation takes his breath away. The bathroom is not merely accessible, but beautiful. A zero-threshold shower with proper controls, grab bars exactly where needed, a sink he can wheel under, all finished with high-quality materials in the colors he had originally chosen. But the renovation extends beyond the bathroom. The kitchen has been modified for wheelchair access. Doorways throughout the house have been widened. Even the back deck has a new ramp leading to his rose garden. Jack struggles to find words as he explores his transformed home. "This is community," says Carol from Veterans Services, who stands among the volunteers. "This is what happens when people come together." As if on cue, Aisha arrives with her news crew to document the reveal. The story that airs that evening is no longer just about a scam, but about a community's response to injustice. A positive ending that resonates far beyond Millfield. In the days that follow, the ripple effects continue. The Contractors Board accelerates its investigation based on the public evidence, suspending Marcus's license pending a full review. The VA launches an audit of all his veteran-related projects. 3 more veterans come forward with similar complaints, strengthening the case against him. Marcus himself seems to have vanished from the community, his office closed, his phone disconnected. Rumors circulate that he's left the state. For Jack, life settles into a new normal. His home now truly supports his independence, allowing him to navigate daily activities with dignity. The trauma of the scam fades, overshadowed by the overwhelming response from his community. 1 year later, Jack hosts a barbecue in his backyard for all those who helped transform his home. The rose garden is in full bloom, with new raised beds that make gardening even easier from his wheelchair. "Hard to believe it's been a year," Elena comments, watching her toddler play with other neighborhood children on the lawn. "Some things have definitely changed for the better," Jack agrees, gesturing toward a new family moving in across the street. "The neighborhood watch program you started has made a difference." Indeed, in the aftermath of Jack's experience, the community has become more vigilant, more connected. A formal network now exists to help veterans navigate home modifications, with Ray volunteering as a consultant to review contracts and plans before work begins. "Heard anything about Reed?" Frank asks, flipping burgers on the grill. Jack shakes his head. "Carol says he tried to set up shop in Henderson under a different company name. but his license revocation followed him. Last she heard, he's facing charges in 3 counties. Justice working as it should, Frank nods with satisfaction. As the evening progresses, Jack finds himself watching the gathering with a profound sense of gratitude. The contractor's attempt to exploit him had revealed something powerful, that true community is the strongest foundation any home can have. Later, as guests begin to depart, Mike from the hardware store pauses on his way out. You know, Jack, what happened with your house has inspired something bigger. The Chamber of Commerce is starting a certified ethical business program because of it. We're calling it the Wilson Standard. Jack laughs, genuinely surprised. You're kidding. Dead serious. Businesses have to pledge to fair practices, especially toward veterans and seniors. It's changing how we do things around here. As the sun sets over his transformed home, Jack reflects on the unexpected journey. What began as a simple bathroom renovation had exposed both the worst and best of human nature, the capacity to exploit and the capacity to heal. In the end, Marcus Reed had inadvertently created something beautiful, not through his craftsmanship, but through his failure. He had revealed the true structure of this community, its foundation of compassion, its framework of integrity, its finishing touches of dignity and respect. And that, Jack thinks as he watches the last golden light illuminate his accessible home, is a renovation worth celebrating. Hey, thanks for sticking with me through this story. If you've ever experienced something similar or know someone who has, drop your story in the comments below. It's important we share these experiences to help others avoid the same pitfalls, and to celebrate the communities that come together when things go wrong. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button and subscribe for more stories of justice and community. Remember, sometimes the most powerful tool against those who would take advantage isn't a lawsuit or a complaint, it's standing together. See you in the next one.